In the cold skies over Europe, during the darkest days of World War II, there was a moment when the balance of power in the air began to shift. It was not marked by a single battle or one dramatic announcement. Instead, it came quietly, carried by the sound of a new engine cutting through the clouds. For German pilots and ground troops alike, that sound would soon become unmistakable. It meant one thing: the P-51 Mustang had arrived. Before the Mustang entered full combat service, the air war over Europe was brutal and uncertain. American bombers flew deep into enemy territory, often without adequate protection. They were slow, heavy, and vulnerable. German fighter units knew this well. Interceptions were frequent, losses were high, and morale among bomber crews was under constant strain. Victory in the air was far from guaranteed. The problem was not courage or determination. American airmen were highly trained and motivated. The issue was range. Existing American fighters simply could not escort bombers all the way to their targets and back. Once the fighters turned around, German aircraft moved in. This gap in protection cost lives and threatened the entire strategic bombing campaign. Everything began to change with the P-51 Mustang. Originally designed in an astonishingly short time, the Mustang was a masterpiece of aeronautical engineering. Its sleek, aerodynamic frame reduced drag and increased speed. But what truly transformed the aircraft was the pairing of its airframe with the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. This combination gave the P-51 exceptional performance at high altitude, exactly where the air war over Europe was being fought. The Mustang was fast, but speed alone did not make it legendary. It was also agile, capable of tight turns and rapid climbs. It carried heavy firepower, allowing pilots to engage enemy fighters with confidence. Most importantly, it had range. With external fuel tanks, the P-51 could escort bombers all the way from England to Berlin and back. This single capability changed everything.
For the first time, American bombers were no longer alone over enemy territory. The skies were contested from takeoff to landing. German pilots, who once waited patiently for escort fighters to withdraw, now faced constant pressure. There was no safe window anymore.
American pilots flying the Mustang quickly gained a reputation. They were aggressive, disciplined, and increasingly confident. Training emphasized teamwork, situational awareness, and adaptability. These pilots did not rely on brute force alone. They relied on coordination, communication, and superior tactics. German forces began to feel the impact on the ground as well. Supply lines, airfields, and transportation networks came under sustained pressure. The presence of long-range escort fighters meant that Allied air power could operate with far greater freedom. Every mission increased strain on the German war machine. The psychological effect was just as powerful as the physical one. German pilots reported growing fatigue and declining morale. Facing an enemy that could match or exceed them in speed, altitude, and endurance was something new. The Mustang removed the sense of control German air units once had. Encounters became unpredictable. Retreat was often the only option. Meanwhile, American air crews gained momentum. Each successful mission reinforced the belief that air superiority was achievable. The P-51 became more than a machine. It became a symbol of technological innovation, industrial strength, and coordinated military strategy. It is important to understand that this success was not accidental. Behind every Mustang in the sky stood a massive logistical effort. American industry produced aircraft at an unprecedented scale. Maintenance crews worked tirelessly to keep them operational. Intelligence units analyzed enemy movements, while planners adapted tactics based on real-time feedback. This combination of technology, organization, and human skill proved decisive. By late 1944, the air war over Europe looked very different. Allied forces enjoyed increasing control of the skies. German aircraft were fewer, fuel was scarce, and experienced pilots were difficult to replace. The Mustang did not win the war alone, but it played a critical role in breaking the enemy's ability to resist from the air. The legacy of the P-51 Mustang extends beyond World War II. It remains a symbol of how innovation can reshape conflict. It demonstrated that air power is not just about firepower, but about reach, coordination, and endurance. When historians look back at the turning points of the air war in Europe, the arrival of the P-51 Mustang stands out. It marked the moment when American forces gained the upper hand in the skies, not through fear alone, but through superior design, disciplined execution, and unwavering resolve.
As the P-51 Mustang became more common in the skies over Europe, its impact went far beyond individual dogfights. German commanders began to realize that something fundamental had changed. The air war was no longer a contest of isolated encounters. It had become a sustained campaign of pressure, attrition, and control, and the Mustang was at the center of it. One of the greatest strengths of the P-51 was not just its performance, but how it fit into a larger American strategy. The United States understood that air superiority was not achieved by defense alone. It required constant presence. The Mustang allowed American forces to patrol enemy airspace for extended periods, denying German pilots the ability to choose when and where to fight. This constant presence wore down the Luftwaffe. Experienced German pilots were forced into repeated engagements, often against fresh American crews rotating in from training bases. Losses were no longer easily replaced. Fuel shortages, damaged airfields, and disrupted supply lines compounded the problem. Each mission made the next one harder. The Mustang also proved deadly against enemy infrastructure. While its primary role was escort, it was more than capable in ground attack missions. Rail yards, transport convoys, and airfields became vulnerable. This forced German forces to divert resources away from the front lines, weakening their overall war effort. American pilots spoke often about confidence. Knowing that they had an aircraft capable of matching anything the enemy could send against them changed how missions were flown. Aggressive tactics became possible. Bombers could stay on course. Fighters could pursue rather than retreat. This shift in mindset was just as important as the aircraft itself. The German response was strained and limited. Attempts to counter the Mustang through new aircraft designs came too late. Production could not keep up, and training new pilots took time that Germany no longer had. Even when advanced aircraft appeared, they lacked the numbers and support to reverse the situation. By early 1945, the skies over Germany told a clear story. American aircraft operated with growing freedom. The Luftwaffe, once a dominant force, struggled to mount effective resistance. This air superiority played a crucial role in supporting Allied ground operations, reducing casualties, and accelerating the collapse of enemy defenses. The success of the P-51 Mustang was not about a single victory or battle. It was about consistency. Mission after mission, day after day, it delivered results. It represented the strength of an industrial nation, capable of producing advanced technology at scale and deploying it with precision. Today, the Mustang is remembered not just as an aircraft, but as a turning point. It showed how innovation, when combined with strategy and determination, could decisively change the outcome of a global conflict.